Let's start by. I remember hearing about the community garden that was going to be put together, and I think they're actually even starting the initial dig at the Burkett Lane and Mohawk piece of land. I think there's a couple acres there, and my first thought was, yeah, this is going to be cool. It's my part of the community. There's some people that I know of who are involved with it, and I have a real interest in these kinds of things. I like food, I like soil, I like growing stuff, but I really like the part where people get together and they've got kind of like a mission around growing good food. And it's not so much about just the good food, but about the fact that people are getting together.
So I got involved with the community garden. A friend of mine, Dan Cole, approached me, and we had some property that wasn't being used, so we thought that would be a good fit. We're all about sustainability. My opinion, every piece of land that isn't being used for growing food should be. To me, it was a way to give back to the community, I guess, and we just wanted to make sure that the space was being utilized by people that would appreciate what was being done. So.
Well, my very first experience was in the Brant Community Garden. One of the founding members of that committee 5 years ago. And prior to that, I had only gardened as a young child with my grandmother when I'd go visit with my father, and she would make me go to the garden and weed. So I tried to avoid going there after that because I didn't want anything to do with it. And that was my first experience really with growing anything on my own, because at home I kill cactuses on a regular basis. For the garden in Brantford, my goal there was more about building relationships between my people and the city of Brantford. And that's where I went at it from. I wanted to learn to work together at a grassroots level, in the hopes that our councils would fall in line as well. But then I seen the other side of it. I seen the food. The food became so important to the community, to the food bank, to everyone there. And now I see that it's truly, food is where it starts, where community starts. In the dirt, together, as one, as with your neighbor.
So in 2009, we had one community garden, which was the Hazelwood Community Garden. And now in 2013, we have 14 community gardens. So over the 4 seasons and now into our 5th season, we've had the wonderful opportunity to donate food to our local community that has been grown by our community gardens, and that would amount to thousands of pounds of food over the last several years. We also have many gardens that both assist those clients where the gardens are, or schools, or communities, and we've had hundreds of people involved in those gardens over the last 4 years, and we take every opportunity to get more people involved in gardening in any way possible.
We help people to get garden going when they're interested in starting a garden. We help them with the location, with the different aspects of liability, the plots, what size of plots do they looking for, what size of gardens are they looking for. They want to make sure that they don't go too big at first, that kind of thing, and really help them to get their volunteer committees going.
Well, I think it's been expanding rapidly all the time. I think it's something that's coming in. People are really beginning to understand food and how food has been tainted with in the community, and that we need to try to get people back to, getting closer to their food sources. We talk about health and how important it is to have nutrition. Our guys can actually go and get food right from the garden that hasn't been touched.
And it's changed my life. I like being outside now. I have a huge garden at home.
In the community garden, we grow a lot of vegetables and everything. Well, I started doing vegetables because I grew up on farming, so I know quite a bit about farming and vegetables.
I get peace. I get a lot of stress relief. I get friends, community, being together. I get lots of vegetables. Saves me a lot of money.
This is our 3rd year that we'll be doing a community garden. We started 2 years ago in the hopes of trying to provide some fresh fruits and vegetables for the seniors that we work with. And they became very involved very quickly. We started with 2 little 4-foot square planter boxes, and they loved that so much that we decided to expand to some larger boxes, and we now have the 2 greenhouses that we're working out of, and hopefully one more come spring. So It's been a great experience. It was nice to watch seniors go home with fresh fruits and vegetables from the garden and make salads for themselves every night. And we started to see some health benefits for that. So it's a project that I'd highly recommend.
I think community gardens are important for a lot of reasons. There's obviously things around food and local food, the environment, using the space that we have and not wasting it on grass that isn't really doing anything. All those are really, really vital. But community gardens also provide an excellent space for programming that isn't necessarily related to a garden, but can be. You know, I've really loved that we've had things like traditional teachings at the gardens, that we've had Six Nations teachings at the gardens, that we've had yoga, free yoga at some of the gardens in the past, and other people trying to find really interesting ways to use these gardens as community space. That, for me, when I see that happen at gardens, that really makes me smile.
We have more of those places across the city and county. Hopefully people can get joy and can get lasting relationships and can get a little bit of sustenance and nutrition, and that they can heal from nature.
Seeing the garden in full bloom in the summertime, and just seeing how walking out of Friendship House after a meeting and seeing maybe 40, 50 people in the garden in the evening, and just kids running around and families gathering their harvest, it's wonderful. That's the best part.
The opening of the garden was fantastic. We brought in a lot of community groups. We had leaders in the community show up at our school. The kids were so excited. Every kid had an opportunity to get out and do some planting that day, and then the ongoing maintenance and such and learning about the process was very valuable for our students. We had some classrooms that engaged in worm composting, for instance, as a support for our garden. We saw that classes would have small celebrations with some of the harvest to commemorate the work that had been done. So it was a very valuable teaching tool, and also a tool to show kids about where our food comes from and the importance of food sustainability and local food.
We've been part of the Community Garden Project for the past 3 years. We had an opportunity to join with and partner with the community in that, partner with the city with that, and it's been an absolutely fantastic experience for us. We've started out with just 8 plots, with only actually 2 people participating in the garden, but now in our 3rd year we grew from 8 to 16, and now this past year we had 36 plots.
My favorite community garden story is actually about the time we called Gloria Ord for an interview. Gloria is amazing, and this story is a testament to how amazing she is when it comes to community gardens. Jen Hill and I were at the Hazelwood Garden going through resumes for people who we should be giving a call about interviewing for the community garden coordinator position. And Jen and I are going through resumes and calling, and we get to Gloria's, and Gloria lived not that far from the first garden. And so I said, oh, that's kind of neat. I grew up on that street. So I was like, I'll call this one, right? And I call, and Gloria's husband answers the phone, and I say, hi, is Gloria Ord there? And her husband, Gary, says, oh, no, she's not. Can I ask who's calling? And I said, oh, it's Marc from the community garden, just calling to see about an interview for the position she applied for. And he says, oh, well, she's actually at the community garden. And so I put down the phone, and I hang up the phone. It's a cell phone. And I hang it up, and I go, Gloria Ord? And she just pops up and is like, hello. And it was noon or so, and she'd been there since 6 a.m. working on the garden in the first weeks of the garden. She was there a lot, so she was a volunteer before she became the coordinator who did all this amazing work at so many of these gardens. So that is my all-time favorite community garden story.
Was the kale. We grew dinosaur kale this year, and it was huge. And I call it elephant kale because it goes up and it looks like the trunk of an elephant, and it was just absolutely huge. Awesome stuff. We've had people growing pumpkins, yeah. I grew the baby bear pumpkins the one year, and the sugar baby watermelons. Yeah, it's really neat. You could try different things and see how they work.
There was a lady that had a garden in Hazelwood. She'd had a heart attack, and she really wanted to be outside getting well. She got a plot. Her son did have to dig the plot for her. I was working there all year that year, so I helped her quite often if I could. When she first came to the garden, she could only be there 10-15 minutes, and she would leave. She would bring her lawn chair, and as the season went on, she could do a little bit more in her garden, and the pleasure that you seen on her face, the pleasure. And she told me a couple of times how the community garden was wonderful for her.
My favorite story, which I'm told is other people's favorite too, and I can laugh at myself now, is when I was chased out of the garden by the snakes. Refused to get out of my car for a while there at the garden. I was by the shed, and for those of you that had been there, it was the white shed, and a snake came out of the some of the medicines there, and no one else seen it but me, so I jumped about 10 feet in the air, and I'm screaming, and I take off running to my car, and the snake is coming behind me, and people thought that was pretty funny.
I think to see the seniors so involved, to see them really take ownership of the kinds of things that we're growing, and they're already starting to plan. Like even in the middle of winter when the snow is still coming down, they're starting to plan the kinds of things that they want in the garden, and going through gardening books and thinking about the things that we did last year and how to make that better. We have 3 more big boxes coming this year, so because there's different things that they want to try now, and it's being taken on by them now. Now, at first it was a project that I started, and I really felt strongly about. Now it's a project for them, and they've taken ownership, and it's a really rewarding experience.
It was about 2 years ago, and I met the crew that has been instrumental in making Friendship House the gardens really robust and full of vigor and lots of good food. They were so committed, and they all had T-shirts, and they seemed to really know their vegetables and their bugs and their how to grow stuff. And there was just a real nice energy about it. Anyway, so there were about 6 or 7 of them. I talked to each one when I had a chance that night, because it was one of the community garden events where you learn about seeds and do stuff like that, probably in March prior to the growing season. And it was so fun to see that this garden had brought together these people who I don't think had actually gotten together before. They didn't know each other. What a nice way to think about how community gardens act as a catalyst in some ways for bringing people together.
For our part, I mean, for Canadian Mental Health and our clients, it was a really good opportunity for them to get involved, not just with their own community garden, but also with other organizations. And they would, they'd be bumping shoulders with somebody from Nova Vita, or talking to, somebody from the Grand River Health Center. And all of a sudden the natural links were beginning to occur, which was amazing. We also, as a group, were able to do something that other people benefited from. And for our guys, to be able to give back to the community in a real way had some real meaning to them. And they felt useful and cared for and could care about other people. I remember us taking corn and piling stalks of corn in the back of my truck and taking it to the food bank and dumping that off, and how grateful people were to have that kind of fresh corn that they could use on their home plate. So that was pretty monumental.
Just take one step. Just come on out. Take a look at what we're doing. Take a look at the ground. And my sense is that once people are there at the potential site, all of a sudden they'll start seeing the possibilities. They'll visualize pitchfork in hand, a few, small potato eyes or whatever they're called for planting, digging a little bit of the soil, working with some other people, remembering some stuff maybe they did as a kid, that it sort of comes back for them. So to me it's experiential, even though that's a fancy word for it. It's more about people just being out at the site and all of a sudden saying, hey, I can do this stuff. This will be fun.
The rewards that you will get from doing it and from building the partnerships that you will with the clients that you serve and the people that work the garden are invaluable. I've made some really close friendships with people that have worked in our garden, and it's been a truly rewarding experience.
Join and see if you like it. I think you'll enjoy it a lot and get experience, and you'll probably have one of your own at home.
Go for it.
I say definitely people that want to participate, get out there, try it, see if you like it, and do it.
Well, they should start. They should come, learn, and when you grow your vegetables, you can eat them, and it'll help you, especially if you're on low income, and it'll be really good for you to come out.
I would be all for it. I would tell them what a wonderful experience it is, but also be quite prepared for it to take over their lives.
I think it's a great opportunity to learn and to experience how to do a garden. You're going to meet other people that you're going to get close to and enjoy being around. I think it's when you're pulling dirt from when you're both in the dirt pile throwing dirt in the air, you tend to be able to bump shoulders or bump elbows and start to actually get to know one another a little bit better in a totally different way than you normally will.
It's a good source of supplementing your income, and the experience is well worth it.
It's just fun. It is. It's a lot of fun. You get exercise. You make a lot of friends. It's really good. Everybody comes together in there, and it's awesome. It's the most amazing feeling. I would tell them to go for it. It's a great experience. They'll never experience anything like it.
I think that we will continue as a network to really just be there for different projects that want to pop up, or citizen groups, or neighborhoods. And again, we're not really... People often have the misconception that we're the ones that create the gardens. I want to give the credit to those people and the organizations that create the gardens and maintain those gardens year after year. So the Community Garden Network will hopefully continue to grow behind the scenes and continue to support gardening and the teaching of working with our communities and nature to share a common goal and achieve that goal.
I can see community gardens in a lot more places. We've gone from 1 to 14. I'm really excited to see where we go and where this project and this network goes in the next 5 years. People love them. People love these gardens, and I totally see why. There is something amazing about growing your own food.
Do you know what? I think it's on a great trajectory. I think it's wonderful that we started something here, and it has great momentum, an expansion of gardens. People taking ownership for their local gardens and their local projects. That kind of citizen involvement is wonderful. So to me, it'll just expand.
We went from 1 5 years ago to 14 now. Plus we have one at home at Six Nations. We're looking at branching out to the schools at Six Nations, so that's 5 more. And in Brantford, because of the size of your city and of the knowledge and of the community garden committee that you have here, I can see in 5 years there being a garden on every street.
For what I would say for the community garden, there'll be community gardens downtown. There would be community gardens in every location that anybody would ever need to. I would hope that eventually there is no one that would have to go too far to get to a community garden. Whether it be a small one or a larger one, in my hope it would be able to all be able to walk to a community garden.